This conference will now be recorded.
Right, so this is your schema, right? Hana 52 schema. We created tables, we created triggers, views, sequences, all the parts, and we focused on select queries. Now today let's start with procedures. Okay. So I'm going to the SQL console. So today we focus on the procedure. So these are very important in Hana's perspective. Okay. So what is a procedure? And so I can say guys, procedure is like a set of SQL statements contains. I don't say is a set of SQL statements executed in series, one after the other. So generally it's like code automation, guys. So this procedure is written once and called multiple times. Called in the sense executed. Every time you just want to execute the same set of statements, you don't need to write the procedure again and again. So simply call the procedure. So this is nothing but just an automation. It's like a code automation procedures. And if you're storing the output in a procedure, we call it as a stored procedure. Okay. So if you're storing the outputs in some column views, generally we store the output of a procedure in a column views, and then we call it as a stored procedure. I'll store it later stage, but right now let's write a procedure. So okay. So every procedure I can say guys, every procedure okay will have header, header and body. So header contains your input controls and everything. So body contains your statements, I can say. Okay, generally body contains your statements. Statements always stored in the body of a processor. So that is of a procedure. So now let's say create procedure. I'm creating a procedure. It's under schema Hana 52. So name of the procedure I can say it as something like procedure underscore procedure underscore introduction. I'm just writing a procedure. So every procedure will have input and output controls. We'll write the input and output controls in this paragraphs. I'll discuss clearly today itself. So as of now, I'm not covering anything. So let's say as so begin. So every procedure will have a begin and end. We always write the statements between begin and end of a procedure. Whatever you write before begin, that's a header of a procedure. And what are the statements you write in between begin and end, that forms the body of a procedure. So I say now, between begin and end, I'll write a statement called select. I say it as something like hello world from dummy. Dummy is like a temporary storage. Select hello world from dummy. That's your procedure statement. I select your procedure. Let's execute your procedure. Now your procedure is created successfully. If you go to your procedures, right click on your procedures folder. Let's refresh. Now I can see procedure underscore intro has been created successfully. So how do you execute a procedure? So executing the procedure means calling the procedure. How do you call a procedure? Let's say call. So after call, you just drag your procedure here. Call your procedure. Just open and close this parenthesis. Why we open and close, I'll discuss clearly. Let's call this procedure. Let's execute. Now I can see the output as hello world. If you call the procedure, automatically it will execute all the statements present in the body of a procedure. So I say select hello world from dummy. Okay. So create another kind of procedure. I can say inserting the data into procedure. I say so create procedure the schema Hana 52 dot procedure underscore insert. Again, I say now, in the statement in the body of a procedure, I write insert into inserting into the billing table values. So billing ID data I'll take from billing sequence. Again, billing table contains billing ID, so I will take the values from billing sequence dot next val. Comma. Then we have something product store. Let's say open contact. First is billing ID, then product store. So product is Z store Hyderabad. Items 5, revenue 750.00 or 750.25. So in the begin, I write an insert statements, insert into this values. So these are the values we're going to insert. This is first statement. You can write multiple statements in a body. I just want to select the record which you inserted. I say now select star from billing table order by billing ID, order by billing ID, descending order. Yeah, billing ID in descending order. Limit 1. So it will pick the top value where the billing ID is highest. So two statements I can say, or you can write everything in a single line. There is no problem in writing everything in single line. You can say start from billing table, order by billing ID, and this in descending order, and limit 1. So two statements we have. You can end your procedure now. So first insert statement gets executed, followed by the select statement. Clear, everyone? You can write multiple statements under a stored procedure. Okay, so if you write the multiple statements under body of a procedure, always the initial, the first statement executed. So first come, first serve. I say now let's say create your procedure. processor has been inserted successfully. Let's say now call your processor. I say once we created the processor, let's refresh. So let's call your processor underscore insert. There you can see the output is billing ID is 10,012, product is Z, store is Hyderabad. Again, if you call again, what happens? Or if you call the processor again insert statement gets executed. Now you see the output as 1013. Billing ID is 1013, product again. Product store details, nothing was changed, right? So again, I see. Let's call this procedure. So now again you see now the billing ID has been changed to 1013. Okay, if you want to see that inserted record, you can use that one. Okay, yeah, so this is creating a procedure using select and insert statements. Just give me a minute, please. Okay, now let's focus on giving some input and output parameters. This okay, guys. Now let's focus on providing some input and output parameters to this processes. Okay, so input and output parameters, how they work, just say now. Let's say. Okay, so I say create. Processor under schema Hana 52 dot IO dash procedure underscore input. So generally in the input and output parameters, we can define a variable. Okay, so in general input and output parameters, we can define variables. Okay, so what is variable? You know, the values whose values are not constant is a variable. So in general mathematics, we take the variable set x, y, z. Okay, if a variable is, for suppose there is a variable a. If a is assigned with the data, we say like this. A colon equal to 2 means that is A is assigned a value equal to 2. Okay, so now, so using these variables, so I'm creating a processor, create processor. Processor is Hana 52 processor underscore input. Here I'm defining input output parameters. I define input as a variable 1. The data type of this variable 1 is integer data type. I'm defining the variable, giving an another input parameter, that is variable 2. So that is also integer data type. I given two two variables as input parameters. Let's say as begin. So now I write a statement called variable 3. I'm declaring, first declare your variable. So declare variable 3, that is of integer data type. First declare your variable, and now let's assign some value to the variable. Give it as variable 3 is assigned a value. If you say colon equal to, now it will be assigned a value which is equal to value of variable 1. How you get the value of variable 1? If you write colon variable 1 means it's like a value of variable 1 plus colon variable 2. So value of variable 2. So variable 3 is assigned value which is equal to value of variable 1 plus value of variable 2. That is the second statement. Okay, the third statement is, I just want to see the output of a variable 3. So I say now select value of variable 3 means colon variable 3. You can give it as a column, so I can say final result. You'll see the output in a final result column. So select value of variable 3 as final result from. So we are storing these all values from dummy, from a temporary storage. Let's end your procedure. So I created a processor with 3 columns, 3 statements. Declare a variable, variable 3. So value of variable 3 is equal to value of variable 1 plus value of variable 2. Variable 1 and variable 2 are defined, declared. They are declared as input parameters. The variable 1 is defined in input parameter, variable 2 is defined in input parameter, whereas variable 3 is defined in the as part of body. So now I want to see the output of a variable 3. How do you see? So colon variable 3, and where you see it as a final result. Now let's say create your processor. Right click, let's refresh. Now your processor underscore input has been created. Okay, now let's say let's call your processor, that is processor underscore input. Let's open and close, and if you call this procedure, now it will throw an error. So what should be the output? Execute your calls, it will throw an error because in the input parameters, in this parenthesis, you given two input parameters. So here you have to write. So variable 1, I give the value of something like 674, comma, variable 2 is 892. I give variable 1 is 674 and variable 2 is 892. And if you call, now you see the output. So where you see the output in a final result column, because you see what is the output. First we declared variable 3, then we given value of variable 3 is value of variable 1 plus value of variable 2. Value of variable 1 we entered as 674 because the variable 1 is defined in input control, and value of variable 2 we entered as 892. So it will make a summation, and then that summation has to be shown in the outputs. How it is showing? Select the value of variable 3 as final results. So it will show the output in a final result 1566. So now if you change 600 and 800, now you see the 1400 in a simple final result column. So in the final result you see it as 1400 now. Okay, clear? So the input controls So we created three procedures, guys. We written three procedures so far. Okay. So input parameters we given, and let's focus on the output parameters also. Focusing on something which is an output parameter. Let's say now. Giving another input parameter is variable to that is also integer type output. So I'm giving the output parameter now. So I given two input parameters and third one is an output parameter. So output parameter that is variable 3, that is also an integer type as begin. So you don't need to declare variable 3 because it's already declared as an in output parameter. So I say now variable 3 is assigned a value that is equal to value of variable 1 multiplied with something like value of variable 2. So you don't need to write the select statement also, guys, because it's by default an output parameter. It will be shown in the output. You don't need to write the select statement. No need to declare because it's already declared in output parameter. No need to write the select statement because it's by default an output parameter. Let's say execute. So now let's call this procedure. Refresh. So this one is 24. This one is something like 20. Variable 2 is 20. Variable 3 output parameter. So you don't know. You give a question mark. So output parameter, you simply give a question mark. Say okay. Yeah, now it's showing the output as 480 somewhat. Maybe we written something wrong. When you call it, so input parameters 24, 20, and third one is question mark. So then you can see the call person. It's clear now. So input and output parameters, right?
Satya, Sandeep here.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can we define the numbers in dynamically like after running the program instead of giving numbers here? Say for example, I want to give 10 and 15, and I want to change randomly, like not like fixed like this. Can we do like
See,
that?
generally, when you create a procedure, okay,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
so there is a concept of something like APIs. Okay, so using APIs, REST APIs or some OData, what happens is, okay, so this procedure can be linked with the front end interface. Okay, and if you
Okay.
click on any option in the front end interface, a relevant procedure will be executed in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you want to create a sales order, you enter the screen, you given all the details of the order, and say once you click on execute. So once you click
Yeah.
on execute button, okay, through there is a thing called APIs, application programming interface. It will call some program. It will call
Mm-hmm.
some procedure in the background. Okay, a
Okay.
procedure, so that procedure will contain this insert statement code, and whatever you enter while in the fields, they will be acted as input parameters.
Okay.
Here, I'm writing manually, but if a user, if this processor is connected with some front end application, okay,
Okay.
so whenever the user passes something in the front end, they will become the input parameters for this stored processor. Okay,
Okay.
so okay, I'll show you. So in this manner, so just give me a minute, please. I'll show you. 1 minute. I'm muting myself. Okay, can you hear me? I got some office calls, so I just muted myself. So this is some output parameters, input output parameters we have in the procedures. Okay, so Sandeep, you have something, right? For suppose a billing transaction was created, Sandeep, I just do like this. Okay, like this. Control C. So I'm creating a new processor called processor underscore billing. So some user is creating a billing transaction in the front end. He's creating a bill. You enter a store, you purchase something, billing was happening. So in the billing, they'll automatically detect your product, store, the number of items you purchased, and amount you paid. So here anyway, billing ID will be automatically generated. So here, what I do is I select so remaining. So product will be an input control. So I say no, we prod is varchar data type 5. Another input parameter I'm providing it as v store. That is also varchar. Another input controller v items. Type. Another input parameter I'm giving is v revenue. So this is decimal. So for this processor, I written 4 input controls, input parameters. So as begin, insert into the billing table. So here, instead of entering my own product, give the value. So select the value, take the value of the product from v product. Okay, in store, we'll add the value of store v store. Items, value of items. And there is a spelling mistake. And in the revenue, so select query will be same. So it means now, so whatever data, so for suppose you create a billing transaction in the front end and say click submit. Okay, so whatever you entered, okay, so it will automatically call a procedure where whatever you entered in the product column, so that will be the value for v product. Whatever you entered in store column, value for v store. What are the data you entered in number of items sold, so that will be the input for this item sold. Same with revenue. Now let's create this procedure. Now let's call this procedure. Calling the procedure. And here billing ID is automatically generated. The billing ID we don't generate, it is automatically generated. And it is happens from sequence. So now, so call procedure. So I given the product as Z, store as Bangalore, items as 4, revenue something like 600.25, some 20 or something like. So 4 input controls I given. So let's call this procedure. So in first insert statement gets executed, it will write the data, then select statement gets executed and it will show the result. Now you can see the results. Okay, so now if you change the values, so if the user change the values, X Bangalore, the number of items is 6, something like 912.47. receive billing ID 1015, so this is the data. Okay, so this will keep on increasing. Clear now, everyone? Input and output parameters under procedures. So using these input output parameters, we can write this if statements also. So let's go with something like if statements. I got the concept of create procedure schema Hana 52 dot.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we import a procedure into another procedure?
No, we cannot. You can copy the statements and you can paste it in another procedure. I'm going with an input control variable or integer data type. Another input control variable too. That is also integer type. I'm creating another input control B. Just a minute. I take it as B option, variable option, that is char data type. Length 10. I'm giving an output parameter that is like V results. That is decimal data type. I created a procedure underscore if with 3 input parameters and 1 output parameter. Again. So now I say now if value of V option again is equal to add. If we enter add in the V option, then I can see V results. Will be assigned a value that is equal to value of variable 1 plus value of variable 2. So if option of V option is add, then okay, the result will be assigned a value that's equal to, or I can say now take the option called else if V option is equal to subtract, value in the V option is subtract, then V result will be assigned a value that is equal to V variable 1 minus variable 2. I can say again else if this option is multiply, then V result will be assigned a value that is equal to value of variable 1 multiplied with value of variable 2. I say now else if V option is equal to divide, then this is the value, and if it is everything else, nothing else, then V result, if anything else, v result will be send a value that is equal to 0. Okay, and end my if statement now. So now let's say end your if statement, end your procedure. Now procedure underscore if has been created successfully. Let's say refresh. Let's call your procedure. So we have got 3 input and 1 output parameters, right? Input parameter variable 1 is 25. Variable 2 is something like 15. P option I'm giving the value as divide. So V result we don't know. So let's apply it. It will just divide 915 and show you the output 60 times. Okay.
One small question, where can we put the error handling in this procedure? Like now variable 2 is 0 when we do the divide by 0, like something like that. Where can we put that?
Yes, that means like a special case. But I'm just writing a basic procedure. So it will be again go with a special case. In the divide, okay, V results. Let's say V option is okay. And here you can select this also. The value of variable 2 is greater than or less than 0, then it will work. Okay, so I'm just calling the processor again. With same thing, if I just change it to multiply, you see a different output now.
Sir, multiply spelling is wrong.
Oh my god, there I wrote a spelling mistake, guys. I'm sorry, in the procedure itself. So I'm writing the same here. And if you write something like in the option, I say XYZ, then it will straight away show you the output as 0. If you do anything other than from these 4, so suppose in the subtract also, if you make some small spelling mistake or in subtract or divide, it will again show the output as 0. Even spelling mistake will be considered. Output is 0 straight away. Okay. So this is how your if statements work under a procedure. So today we just created some 6 different kinds of procedures, I can say. Okay, I stop here. So in the next class, we'll focus on this column view stored procedures, header of the procedure. We can focus on header of a procedure, and then we focus on this internal tables, table types under procedures. So and also we'll focus on this what we say case statements. So 4 topics we're gonna discuss tomorrow. Okay, we'll focus on header of a procedure, uh, case statements, internal tables and table types, and column views, storing the output in a procedure. Okay. So I stop here. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?